joined by gardening expert Hazel Gardiner, plumber Karen Matthews and consumer expert Grace Forrell.
But first, time to find out what the weather has in store for us over the next few days. Meteorologist Claire Nazir is joining us from Wilmslow. Morning, Claire.
Well, it looks cold. We can see your breath, Claire.
Oh, it is bitter here this morning. I was scraping my car earlier, -3, -1 currently, even though the sun's out. But that's nothing compared with what people were waking up to this morning in the West Country. We saw rain push in, bump against the cold air, and we've seen a blanket of snow. Lovely pictures from Dartmoor this morning, but that really masks lots of issues across many parts of this region. In fact, schools have been closed across the Exeter area. We've seen a blanket of snow here. People haven't been able to get into work. A real shock to the system, actually. But through this week, we've had an Arctic blast, and what that has meant, many areas have seen that snow. Earlier this week, snow across Wales. There's pictures here from Merthyr Tydfil, and West Country also seeing school closures through the middle part of the week. Snow also has been accumulating across Scotland, where last night we saw temperatures down to -11 degrees Celsius. Can you believe that? That's really rare for this time of year, and more snow to come today across northern Scotland, and warnings, as you said, right across the country. So that's the picture right now. It is bitter outside. The risk of ice tonight and a few snow showers tomorrow. But in fact, we are now forecasting another batch of heavy snow coming in across Scotland and northern England come the weekend. Currently, the Met Office is discussing naming a storm. It could be called Storm Bert, as rain pushes in with gales, snow for Northern Ireland into Friday. And then Saturday, yes, there'll be some travel disruption as we see heavy snow in the north, heavy rain in the south, and severe gales as well. So a lot to really cope with this weekend. A lot of people travelling as well.
Yeah, stay indoors, I think.
I guess the question...
On everybody's
Is it too early? Is it too early, Claire? Are we dreaming of a white Christmas?
Oh, dumb. Well, in fact, 2021, we had a named storm. That was Storm Arwen, and then we saw a white Christmas. So it bodes well, doesn't it? I mean, obviously, it's a long way away. 2 weeks ago, I was talking about temperatures of 18 in Scotland, and now it's -12 tonight. So we've got everything to play for.
OK, well, thank you,
She's not
Claire.
sticking the neck on the line there, are you?
You know what we should do? We should ask Hagan Fox as well, and then accumulate both of their answers together.
She's a child of Michael Fish, that one. She knows exactly. She's like, whoa, 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 not going to say a word. Thanks, Claire.
Thanks, Claire.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Still to... let's go to Hazel.
Now. Good morning, Hazel.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very good. But some of our plants aren't doing so well, obviously, in this frost. What should we be doing to our gardens at the moment?
Right, so I have got some top tips for you to not fear the freeze. First of all, if you have non-native plants, such as banana trees, I've got an olive tree here, tree ferns, you need to make sure that you protect them. So if you have horticultural fleece, that's great, but if you're going to buy something new, try and get something natural, such as wool fleece, or I've got hessian here. And basically, you want to give it a big hug with your material and just make sure that it's protected, and that will help with damage on those leaves. Same for your pots. You want to make sure that your pots are also protected. So I actually keep all my bubble wrap and wrap it around the pot. Again, you can use hessian or even newspaper if you're stuck. So we want to make sure that you go all the way round, and again, make sure that it's just really covered to give it that extra protective layer. Then as we're talking about pots, also, if you have a patio or you're a fan of pots, you want to make sure that they don't get waterlogged. So what you want to do is use your pot risers. I've got some here. I also like to use bricks. You just want to lift it up, elevate that pot, and that will stop it getting waterlogged, which is a real nightmare if we do get a horrible frost. And then what do you do with things in your border? So you probably cut down a lot of your perennials. They will need protecting. So what you can use is, you can use even a bed sheet on your borders. And I've cut down some like thistle here. So I would literally just put that over. And then again, that acts as a protectant. But obviously, traditionally in gardening, we do use mulches. What is a mulch? It's a protective layer, normally organic matter, that you put over your soil to keep in and retain that moisture. So you can use compost, bark, straw, again, wool fleece. You want to put it on top of your perennials as well, but also on bare soil. It's really important that you do put it on that bare soil as well. Other things to look out for are with your pots and containers. If you have got salvias, pelargoniums, you do want to make sure that you bring those inside. If you haven't got, or in a greenhouse or even a garage, just somewhere that will protect them from, you know, the direct frost outside. Don't do what I did and leave water in your soil. So as you can see here, it is frozen. If I had a plant in there, that would cause a lot of damage to the roots. So you want to make sure that you get rid of any water ahead of your frost. Also, with your plant pots, as you can see here, there's a crack in it. You want to make sure that some of your plant pots might not actually be frost-proof. So make sure that you bring those in as well. And in general, just really take care. I also say, if you have a pathway, put some grit down and just, take care of yourself and make sure you keep feeding those birds.
Hazel, just quick question from me. Hydrangeas, when to trim back, when not to trim back? Do we leave them while the cold weather's...
Oh, well, I leave them. I actually have some hydrangea paniculata there. I leave them. It depends on what hydrangea you have. If you've got paniculata limelight, I don't do it until next year. It's also great for insects, and it's wonderful for winter foliage and colour, especially at this time of year.
Lovely, thank you.
There you go. Have you got a lot of hydrangeas then in your garden?
I'd murder paniculata right now, I tell you. I could do with one of those. Thank you, Hazel.
Thank you. Let's go over here and talk to Karen, all about plumbing and heating. Hi, Karen. Good morning.
Oh, Karen, you're an absolute hero. I love a plumber.
You are. Now,
where would we be without plumbers, man? You're the best.
What happens if you've got frozen pipes?
If you've got frozen pipes, you can have a bit of a disaster on your hands.
And how do we prevent it?
Well, the best way, the three main ways to prevent it are, first of all, to insulate your pipes.
Right.
So, internally, we've got this insulation you can get in different thicknesses. So you're looking at insulating your loft spaces, primarily your unheated spaces, your loft space, your cellar, your outbuildings, your garage. That's going to minimise the risk of any pipes bursting while they're protected.
Okay.
Also, another common pipe is this one here. So this is a pipe that can sometimes come from a boiler down outside to the drain, and it's not quite big enough. And what can happen is, when it's really cold, you can get a build-up of ice in here and it stops your boiler working. Now, if you're going to insulate outside, you need a special kind of insulation that's got a coating on it that makes it UV resistant, so it doesn't degrade over time. So really, it's use the right insulation for the right.
But is that something a layman can do, or would you?
Yeah,
so you can just buy that from a.
You can go to a plumber's merchants or a DIY shop. And then you can also buy tools as well, so you can get these nice miter joints on, so you're not going to get any gaps in the insulation.
Yeah.
So your pipes are going to be fully covered.
I just know that I'd try that and I'd get it wrong somehow, and then
you
end
wouldn't
up calling you
have
out.
a little bit of faith, Dermot O'Leary.
Listen, I can cook your dinner, but I'm not entirely sure about doing that.
Can you bleed radiators?
Well, that's the one thing. In the modern age, where men are primarily useless, the one thing every man learns from his dad is, all right, you can't do anything else, but you have to be able to bleed a radiator. But what I want to know is, after I bleed a radiator, do I then have to adjust the pressure in my boiler?
You do. You do.
Top of the class.
If your boiler's got a pressure gauge on it.
Yeah.
So talk us through the whole bleeding radiator scenario.
So you've got a little key like this.
Yep.
Again, if you haven't got one, you can pick it up in a DIY.
Don't worry, I've got one of those. My man
Everybody's
key.
got one of these.
Wears it round his
in that
neck.
drawer.
Don't worry, guys, I've got it. I'm going to bleed
In
a
the
radiator.
drawer that holds all the bits.
It's that and the bins. That's all we've got left.
So you find the bleed vent on the top of the radiator, lefty-loosey to slacken it off. Get a cloth or a little cup underneath.
Yeah.
You should be able to hear air hissing out of the top of the radiator, and then as soon as water starts coming out, righty-tighty and turn it off.
Do we fill the water, like a glass or anything, or as soon as the water comes out, you stop?
As soon as the air stops coming out, basically, and turn it off.
But then, if you have a boiler like that, then you have to adjust the pressure, correct?
Yeah, most modern boilers have got a pressure gauge on, so it needs a minimum amount of pressure in it to function.
Like
so
1.5
if you've found that there's some air in some of your radiators and you've managed to expel that, then you need to go back to your boiler and just top it up again.
Does that just happen every year? Like the air just gets into the
Sometimes you'll get a little bit of air working out. Once that's If you're losing pressure regularly, then that needs investigating by a qualified person. Yeah, by me.
Brilliant.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming on
So
the
good.
show. That was brilliant.
Thank you for your service.
And finally, we've got Grace Forrell.
Grace.
It's just switcheroony. Who's going to tell us about what to do if your boiler breaks.
Oh, I know. Everyone's worst nightmare, especially now.
Well, it always happens now. That's
Right
the
when
thing,
you
doesn't
need
it?
it.
Like, exactly.
I know. That's why it's important to get it serviced in the summertime to prevent it from happening now.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, no one wants to be without hot water or heating for any length of time when it is this cold. And it can be quite a bit, a kind of agonising wait to get a repair done. But there are companies that are doing really good services at the moment. British Gas is one of them, where if you book a repair before 11 a.m, someone will come out that day to fix your boiler.
That's good.
I know. There are a few services like that. Pimlico Plumbers offers one, OVO Energy. So if you need something done quickly, it's definitely worth looking into.
The problem is, though, whenever you need something done quickly, it's always an astronomical cost, and it's very easy to be ripped off because you're desperate and you need it done straight away.
Yeah, well, you go into panic mode,
Yes,
don't you? But it's so important to take the time and carefully choose an engineer. So you don't want to just go for the sponsored ads at the top of the search results. It's really important to just pick them carefully. I always say prioritise a plumber or a heating engineer that you have been personally recommended by, friends or family. Check their reviews on Google, on Facebook or Trustpilot. See if they're endorsed by sites like Which Trusted Traders or Check a Trade. Check that they're gas safe registered. So you can type their name into the safe register and it will show you whether they are. Check whether they've got public liability insurance. It's not a legal requirement, but it's a good sign if they do. And get more than one quote. Ideally, you want about 3 quotes and ask whether they charge a call-out fee. And be wary of anyone who asks for the full payment up front.
Brilliant. Okay. Thank you so much, Grace.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.